Mario Kart World is the biggest next step for Mario Kart in the history of the franchise. Nintendo's most popular series is leveling up in a huge way. And today, we are going to take a look at everything we found in that Mario Kart World trailer for the Switch 2 Direct. This is going to be a long one, so I'm not going to waste your time in the intro. There is simply so much to discuss. So I'm going to be pointing everything out and talking about what I think it means from a gameplay perspective for this next entry. First thing I want to say was something that was not in the trailer. Apparently this game is going to be $80 or $90 depending on if you get it physically or digitally. That is insane, but it's worth it for me. I'm going to be playing this game a ton. The way this video is going to work is we're going to go through a bunch of gameplay changes at the start and then jump into different modes. All the new characters, there's so many we've seen. We're going to talk about all of them. All the returning and new items. Yes, we see new items, including the icons by slowing down the item wheel, and all the courses we know of so far. So let's get started with initially just talking about the gameplay. First things first, time of day and weather can change here. Not only do we hear them say this in the trailer,
depending on the time of day and weather conditions, the atmosphere will change.
But also the initial shot of what now can be confirmed to be Mario Kart Circuit, aka the Yoshi Burger track we saw in the initial trailer. This track is now taking place at sunset, which obviously it was not in that initial trailer. This day, night, and weather system is super cool, especially when talking about retro tracks. Here we can see Shy Guy's Bazaar during the daytime, which is something we've never seen before, so I just think that's pretty neat. Next thing is this game is called Mario Kart World because, well, obviously it's one big world. Not only can you free roam around this world, as we'll talk about soon enough, but also in Grand Prix, you drive from course to course to complete a cup. Because of that, subsequent races while in a Grand Prix start while your character's already driving. I'm just assuming you can't like control or move super fast, and you can obviously still time up for a starting speed boost like in plenty of past entries. Next, in terms of the gameplay, we can see that there are going to be multiple paths in most likely every single course. These will obviously be useful in free roam, but also for Grand Prix as well, as the course can very easily change up its laps by just blocking off different paths. You can also trick to grind on rails, walls, and power rails. The direction you grind changes your trick, and it also looks like tricks will have different animations depending on the costumes, as we see Mario's Hakama costume from Tor doing what seems to be a trick animation specific to that costume. Moving on, we can see that gliders are completely gone, but are replaced by the fact that your cart can just turn into a plane. Purple boosts are also back, and tracks will also likely have track-specific gimmicks, such as this truck that you can get into and then presumably drive around as. Next, let's talk about the different modes. Obviously, there's Grand Prix, which is your standard Mario Kart mode, except now you have to drive from course to course in between races. But next, let's talk about Knockout. Interestingly enough here, the Knockout section of this trailer shows the menu, which looks different from the normal Grand Prix menu. Not only are the cup icons completely different, but it would appear like there's going to be 6 courses in each Knockout Cup. If there's 6 courses per Knockout Cup, that makes me think there's going to be at least 42 different courses, unless they reuse different courses per Knockout Cup, as 7 cups down here with 6 courses each obviously leads to, well, 42 different courses. It looks like Knockout Cups will also be called rallies, which is good to differentiate them from cups which have 4 races, as we can see the Golden Rally and the Ice Rally being selected in the menu. It shows in the top right who makes it, and it also looks like each unique course or location will get just 1 lap, as we can see 6 total laps here down at the bottom, which fits perfectly with 6 courses per Knockout Rally like we saw on the menu. Additionally, I have to point out, we'll talk about this more later on, but 20 coins down here is nuts. They've doubled the max coins from 10 to 20, which I'm super excited about because 10 was just kind of boring if I'm being honest. During the Knockout section of the trailer, you also see a crown, which can be stolen by bumping into someone else. Whether or not the crown will have any gameplay ramifications remains to be seen, but you already know, even if it's purely visual, I am going to be gunning for that crown because, well, bragging rights. Next, let's move on to the next mode shown off, which was free roam. Now, they're calling this mode free roam and not like a story mode, or obviously a single player mode because it's actually multiplayer, which we'll get into in a minute, but for all intents and purposes, this is going to be a story mode. As we can see in the trailer, there are going to be missions and little challenges throughout this massive world that you can access in free roam and complete. We see this in quite literally the first shot with a giant P-switch, which for those unfamiliar is a very common Mario object that when jumped on or driven over in this context will activate some sort of challenge. Here I could see them spawning like certain rings that you have to get far off in the distance before timer runs out, opening up a new path of the track, or just starting some sort of mission like that. In the next shot, we see another P-switch off in what looks to be this mining building. This also confirms that not only coins, but item boxes are available in free roam as well, so the items will definitely be used in certain challenges, like maybe you have to hit a certain amount of things with green shells or whatever. Next for free roam, we get a shot of Toadette riding through the desert, which just shows how massive this scale is. You can vaguely make out some helicopter in the background, which I'm sure houses a mission for you to complete, and once again showing the true open nature of this mode, you can see Peach just completely ditching the road here with a vast forest area awaiting her. Once again, you can see a P-switch far off to the right here, indicating some sort of mission. But more interestingly, this next shot of Wario driving through the desert not only shows this castle-looking area with, once again, look at that, another P-switch, but some sort of little civilization down here with a bunch of pots, torches, and is that Nabbit? Yeah, Nabbit is a playable racer, which again, we'll show off soon enough once we get to the characters. But whoever this guy is, I would expect them to give you some sort of mission, or maybe they can be used as a shop, because otherwise, why would this be here? The next shot shows Yoshi completely transforming his bike into a boat, passing by a toad in a life raft, and then we get the confirmation that you can play this online. But look at this. It is not limited to 4 players, as we see 5 in this initial shot. How many people can queue up in one lobby remains to be seen. 24 seems like it would be insane in this massive open world, but who knows, it's definitely possible. In a different shot later on in the direct, we also see some sort of quick chat or emote button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. I'm extremely confident that this will be used in this free roam mode when online with friends. We get confirmation of a photo mode as Peach, Daisy, and Rosalina are having their picture taken in some sort of city. We see raw gameplay shots of this free roam mode, including one with a start game option down at the bottom, right next to a mini-map. I'd assume this means that if you group up with people in the free roam mode and you're on an actual course of the game, you could just start a race with them there, which is super sick. You can see the mini-map being live updated, as it even includes the cars going by on the highway. After they bounce off a Shy Guy here, the group continues out to keep exploring. Later on, when they're showing off screen sharing, we can actually watch them go from free roam to starting a race. You can see that whoever's named Nix here is definitely like player 1 or the leader of the lobby, as he can start the game while everyone else has to wait until the rules have been decided. Then the race starts, and we can see everyone's teleported to the starting line of the same race. Okay, we finally covered free roam mode, but now let's move on to the characters. Oh boy. First thing I want to point out is we haven't seen any Koopalings yet. Not saying that's a good or bad thing, just pointing it out. We haven't seen them. However, you know who we have seen though? Goomba, the cow from Moo Moo Meadows. Yes, he's drivable. Hammer Bro, Nabbit, a snowman, Chargin' Chuck, Spike, a penguin, a Monty Mole, a Cataquack, the fishbone enemy, which is like the dry bones but a fish, the sidestepper crab, a stingbee, a parabitty-bud, Wiggler, a Pianta, a Peepa, a dolphin. No clue what this thing is. Please let me know down in the comments below. It kind of looks like one of those lava bubbles, but recolored. However, it also looks like it has an arm pointing out, so I genuinely have no idea. Maybe it's related to this game's story. And you can see a Pokey driving in the key art. Those are all the characters we could find, but there's likely to be so many more. Also, while we're on the topic of characters, holy crap, there are a lot of costumes in this game. We see a ton of them throughout the trailer, so let me know down in the comments below if you'd like to see a video going over every single costume and all the footage we got. But we also supposedly saw what makes the costumes itself. In this shot here, we see Mario eating presumably a Yoshi burger and then transforming his costume to one that fits the track. In fact, we then go on to see a bunch of different costumes, including a Farmer Luigi on Moo Moo Meadows, and 4 different Peach costumes that all seem to be related to the track they're on. Peach is wearing a kimono in the Japanese-inspired track, a retro racing suit in what appears to be Airship Fortress, a modern racing suit for what appears to be a modern racing track, and a city outfit for, well, what looks to be a city track. So will you be able to choose costumes beforehand, or are costumes tied to the course you're on? While we can't know for sure, because of course they could always just be picked the appropriate costume for each track just for the trailer so it like looks better, I would assume that the costumes are based on your location in the world, as there seem to be so many costumes that forcing people to pick a costume they want at the start of every race would probably get a bit tiresome. Alright, next up, let's talk about the items. There is so much to discuss here, it's not even funny. We see items like the blue shell, blooper, mega mushroom, triple red shells, fire flower, shock, ice flower, bananas, boomerang, boo, star, and horn all return, with the super horn in particular having a completely new animation when being used. Additionally, there are some completely brand new items shown here as well. Stuff like the hammer, ice flower, and coin box are all taken from Tor and seem to be pretty much exactly the same functionality wise as in Tor. However, we also have some new items. There's this golden shell here, which we only see for a couple of frames, and a mystery Kamek magic ball, which seems like it'll spawn Kamek, as you can see Kamek flying above your car in this shot right here. What this will do, I have no idea. Maybe Kamek will fly in front of another racer and then the two of you switch places. Double item boxes are also returning, and items seem to function very similarly to 8 Deluxe in the sense that you can hold 2 of them, but with one key difference. It seems like items are instantly dragged behind you. Why do I say this? Well, we see some weird items being dragged here. Here we see Blue Yoshi dragging a golden mushroom. Before it's used, you can see Luigi dragging a bullet bill. What looks to be Daisy is dragging a mushroom, and Rosalina is even dragging a coin. From a gameplay perspective, well, what does this mean? Obviously, none of those items, like coins, bullet bills, have ever been able to be dragged in Mario Kart before. You could not put those behind your cart. It also makes no sense for an item as ubiquitous as coins to be able to be dragged behind you if it would be used to like block something in a defensive way. Because of that, I think when you have an item, you're going to be incentivized to use it almost immediately because it'll be instantly dragged behind you, meaning anyone who bumps into it can steal it. That is a huge shakeup for Mario Kart, but one that I think is pretty desperately needed. Obviously, it adds a nice risk versus reward element, as if you have a really good item, you might want to wait for the perfect time to use it or use it right away so no one can steal it. It also de-incentivizes item bagging because, again, you want to use your items quicker because they can get stolen, and considering there are going to be so many items moving around at all times with 24 racers, it's just going to be nice to be able to visually see what people in front of you have, even if they're not actively using that item. Last thing about the items, on the game's key art, which was shown at the end of the trailer, we see Donkey Kong with that Yoshi burger, holding it in the same way that like Bowser is holding the red shell, or Rosalina is holding the star, all but confirming that that will also be an item. I mean, we already saw it in the trailer, but good to know it's an actual item. Still not entirely sure what it does. I mean, we know what it does, it changes your costume, but what does that actually do other than, well, changing the costume? We also see Wario flying up top holding 2 bombs. The double bomb was Wario's special item in Mario Kart Tour, so either double bombs are returning or character special items are returning, and that's Wario's here as well. Finally, let's move on to the courses. On the menu for Grand Prix, we see 7 cups. It's highly likely that the special cup will be an additional unlockable cup, given that we have not seen this game's Rainbow Road, and also it would be weird to have a Mario Kart game without the special cup. Like 7 is just kind of an odd number. Going through all the courses we've seen, let's start off with the Mushroom Cup, which consists of Mario Bros. Circuit, which once again is the original course we saw in the initial Switch 2 reveal trailer, Crown City, which appears to be a city themed around Peach, Whistletop Summit, which looks like that train/mining course we've gotten shots of, and DK Spaceport, which looks so sick. The Flower Cup features Desert Hills, Shy Guy Bazaar, Wario Stadium, and Airship Fortress. Obviously, this here is a Retro Cup. However, Nintendo is not even clarifying that these are retro courses. Every other Mario Kart game with retro courses will put the console of origin next to the course name, but this game doesn't do that, and for good reason. These are not the courses we've come to know and love. They're very similar, but drastically changed in so many ways that to even refer to them in the same vein as retro courses we've got in the past seems kind of like a misnomer. Like, that is not DS Airship Fortress, that's just a new Airship Fortress. It will likely have a similar layout-ish, but drastically updated to fit the fact that not only does this course now have to be part of a natural open world, but it also has to fit 24 racers, include trickable rails, and so much more. Next, we move on to the Star Cup, and this is where stuff starts to get a little messy, as we see 3 retro courses, being DK Pass, Sky High Sundae, and Wario Shipyard, but also a new Nitro course, simply titled Starview Peak. Given that Starview Peak takes place in an icy area, this could have been a reimagining of Rosalina's Ice World, but I guess it's so different that they just ended up calling it a brand new course anyway. There's no such thing as retro cups or nitro cups here. They're kind of just mixing everything together based on where they are on the overworld, which I think is pretty sick. Moving on from the Star Cup, we have the Shell Cup, which features Koopa Troopa Beach, Faraway Oasis, a different variant of Crown City, this time taking place at night with completely different art, and Peach Stadium. This is interesting. Crown City is now both in the Mushroom and Shell Cup. However, once again, they look completely different. I'm a little bit confused as to how this will work. If the course itself was going to be completely different, then why not name it like Crown City 2 so it's not super confusing? It shares the same location as the Mushroom Cup's Crown City on the world map, but obviously this one's at night. I would assume it's it's not just the exact same course and you're taking different routes, but in that case, like, why not name it Crown City 2? We'll have to see what they've been cooking up. We also see the gang racing on and then leaving what appears to be Mario Circuit 3 right here. Another track that we don't actually see as far as I know, but we know is in the game is Toad's Factory because we actually hear it. We hear a brand new remix for Toad's Factory during this part of the trailer. When looking at the world map, I think either this icon or this one could be Toad's Factory. It's kind of hard to tell because, again, they redid the retro track so much here. But that is definitely the Toad's Factory music, so it seems to be confirmed to return, which is really nice because everyone wanted it in the Booster Course Pass and then we never got it, so at least they're giving it to us now. We also see Moo Moo Meadows and some sort of dojo course along with so many others. Looking at the game's map, which can be found on the Mario Kart World website, and also assuming there are 2 hidden course icons right here and here, we can count 29 different courses. Now, in normal Mario Kart games, we could extrapolate that and assume that there would be 32 because there's 4 races per cup, yada yada yada. However, this is not a normal Mario Kart game. We already pointed out that there are 2 different instances of Crown City, one in the Mushroom Cup and one in the Shell Cup. So if I had to guess, I would say there are going to be 30 courses in this game because there's no Rainbow Road shown here and there's definitely a Rainbow Road. But besides that, this looks like it's all the courses. Maybe more can unlock, but 30 courses already seems insane when you consider that those aren't just 30 courses you select in a menu, those are 30 courses placed into a massive open world, with each course likely having multiple different variants, once again like we've seen with Crown City. Okay. That is everything we saw in the Mario Kart World trailer, or at least everything we could find. But as I said in the beginning, there is so much to this game and so much to just that trailer, so I'm gonna need you guys to let us know everything we missed down in the comments section below. On top of that, we might get more footage of this game very soon, like within the treehouses coming in the next 2 days, and there's also a whole direct for this game coming in like 2 weeks. I don't know if I've ever been more excited for a game. Mario Kart is my favorite series of all time, and this looks like it's the biggest shakeup. Well, it is. It's the biggest shakeup Mario Kart has ever seen. So make sure to hit that subscribe button because trust me, we have so many more videos coming your way, covering all about Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza too, check out that analysis on screen right now, and everything else Switch 2 related. With that out of the way, I'm Thomas from the Switched Up signing off. Peace.